I'm Chris Story, and this is Alaska Real Estate. Thanks for listening to what many important people call the greatest show on earth. Today, meet Michael Droege. He's your Alaska Association of Realtors president. What does Michael have in store for you in 2013? I think you'll be very happy. And Fred Braun brings us up to speed on the anadromous streams issue on the Kenai Peninsula. Remember, if it happens to real estate, it matters to you. Today's podcast made possible in part by Alaska Housing Finance Corporation. Let your clients know that AHFC is allowing for a second energy rebate. If you've already received an energy rebate, guess what? You can go back to the apple for another bite. For all the details, direct your clients to akrebate.com. And thanks to Alaska USA Mortgage Company, people you know and a name you trust. As you'll hear from Michael, realtors matter. Well, so does your mortgage partner. The team at Alaska USA Mortgage Company puts your clients first every time. Online at alaskausamortgage.com. Please welcome your president, Michael Droege. How long have you lived out in the valley?
I've lived out here 2 years now in March.
Okay, so that was a conscious move. You're not from there, or?
No, I was born and raised in Anchorage.
Oh, you were? I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I've lived outside of Alaska for 6 months in my 50 years, and I live out in Meadow Lakes, but I was born and raised at 88th and Lake Otis in Anchorage. We actually homesteaded that when it was still rustic.
Wow, and when you were out in the lower or lesser 48, where did you go there?
I was in Los Angeles for 6 months. A friend of mine and I, he was from the Ukraine. We imported caviar from Russia. And we had 7 metric tons of beluga, sevruga, and etc., and we established a network in, the continental United States, Mexico, and Canada to sell this caviar.
Wow.
And one of our customers got a little too deep in our pockets, so I did what I do with our pack. I got my Tony Soprano hat on, flew to Los Angeles, and said, "How you doing?" So we ended up in business in L.A., but great place to do business, not a place to raise a family in my estimation, so I came home.
What can the realtors expect underneath the Michael Droege presidency for the Alaska Association of Realtors?
The theme that I set for my presidency was mentorship as a legacy, and that might seem like a lofty goal or kind of a mouthful, but, none of us would really be where we are without someone in our past, current, and hopefully in our future that came to us and said, hey, you might want to consider doing this. And so one of the gentlemen that works at my office, Gary Schmidt, has been my mentor my whole professional life and has shaped a lot of my attitudes and a lot of the drive that I have, and I wouldn't be where I am without him. And in terms of the realtors, Denny Woods, in my, really at the end of my first year in my real estate career, came to me and said, you need to run for the board of realtors. And I said to myself and to him at the time, what could you possibly think that I could bring to the table, and what can I offer to the board? And I think that it's incumbent on all of us to really look within our organization to find someone who is new and energetic, who may have some ideas, and give them an opportunity to sit and understand what we do. Because constantly we hear, what does the realtor organization do for me? And it's because, of the ignorance of our organization. And I don't say that as a pejorative. Ignorance is just not knowing what you don't know. And it's our obligation to give them some insight. And then, over the course of time, let them sit and listen and find their feet and find their passion and run. No one has really shaped my direction in this organization. They've just allowed me to think and listen and watch and learn and then go in the direction that I wanted to go, which is, in my estimation, the beauty of our organization. One where you can kind of run with the passion that you have about the organization once you've gotten some knowledge about what we do. Being a part of the national organization and the local organizations, and I say the organizations, we belong to the National Association of Realtors, the Alaska Association of Realtors, and then the local boards being Anchorage and Kenai Peninsula and Homer and the other boards throughout the state, Fairbanks. I think the most important part for the leadership in the organization is that we need to understand that we constantly have to be searching for our replacements. This is a volunteer organization, and a lot of the things that we do, local, statewide, and nationally, and then that would include our legislature. I mean, it was set up to be a rotating organization, a volunteer organization, a citizen legislature, if you will. It's incumbent on us is to find our replacements on a regular basis. And we need to search for vision. We need to search for passion. We need to search for the people that are willing to do the things that are necessary to move our organization forward. In the talks that I have given over the past several years as the Anchorage president and as a board member, most people don't realize that we are the stewards of 1/6 of the economy. Residential real estate accounts for $2.23 trillion in gross domestic product in the United States. And without the health of the housing industry, the health of the national economy is in jeopardy. And so it's beyond what I get for my money. I pay dues to an organization. What is it that it brings me? It's way beyond that. It's, those things naturally come, but it's more about what can you bring to an organization that you have a responsibility to and the clients that you serve. Private property rights is something that is pinnacle in our direction. It's something that is incumbent on us to promote and direct and protect. And this organization is the largest private trade organization in the world with the charge to keep 1/6 of the nation's economy healthy. And that's a big, big, big responsibility. It goes beyond just selling a house and, building a house or selling a piece of land. We have a huge responsibility to the national economy. And when people understand that, I think it gives them a whole different vision about what, in fact, they can do and what opportunities lie in front of them in terms of, promoting and being a part of the organization.
In consideration of that statement, is there something on the national level, statewide level, either that you'd touch on, that we should be paying attention to right now, between now and the next time we hear from you on this podcast?
Well, we have some great challenges that we face in 2013 and beyond. There was 2 significant pieces of legislation that were passed prior to the election, prior to President Obama's re-election, that were pinnacle legislative agendas on the president's part, but they could bring some very difficult situations to us. And the national organization, the National Association of Realtors, is working very hard to make sure that we shape that policy to make sure that it's in everyone's interests, not only the success of the Obama administration, but also to the success of the nation. And I think that one of the things that impresses me is how we're able to bridge the gaps. We, as an organization, are not Republicans or Democrats. We work for the Realtor Party. And the Realtor Party being a group who protects renters, homeowners, bankers, builders, and makes sure that the decisions that are made in Washington, D.C. are not to the detriment of the American dream, and that's private property rights and home ownership. So that being said, the Affordable Care Act has got some challenges. We've got the 3.8% tax that is going to go into effect on people of high income. And then we also have the Dodd-Frank bill, which both pieces of legislation were designed not to take full effect until after the election in the second term. There are some things in Dodd-Frank, specifically the QRM language or the QM language, that's the qualified mortgage or the qualified residential mortgage, which enacted in their original state would have disqualified 75% of the buyers or the borrowers that qualified in 2010. And that's significant. I mean, if you take 75% of the buyers out of the market, can you imagine what it would do to the real estate industry and then hence the national economy? So we are diligent in the task of making sure that language understands that the quality of the down payment or the size of the down payment does not dictate the quality of the loan to a borrower. We need, as we have said many times over, we need to get back to normalcy in lending. We need to make sure that the buyer is qualified, they're vetted properly, their credit scores cut the mustard, and that they don't borrow more than they can afford to pay back. They're not buying more home than they can afford. They're not getting cash back. All of the things that make sense to most reasonable people. And as with most legislation, we seem to always legislate for the lowest common denominator. We've had in the past people that borrowed money with no documentation, that had no ability to pay back what they borrowed, and that was allowed and encouraged. And the national organization really wants us to get back to just normalcy in lending. And with that, we won't need any special stimulus packages. We won't need first-time home buyer tax credits. We won't need any of the things that have taken place in the past to stimulate the real estate industry. If we've got good, reasonable interest rates, we've got good, reasonable stability in housing, and we have normalcy in the lending standards, our industry will take care of itself without any federal help. I'm humbled by my opportunity to serve not only the local organization, which I've done in the past, but the state organization and the national organization. I've been lucky enough to be able to serve on the Federal Housing Finance and Federal Housing Policy Committee, and I'm encouraged by some of the things that I see. I'm also excited about the energy and direction of our organization and what we have in front of us. The challenges we have seem to be not only insurmountable, but it's matched by energy and direction from our organization. So I'm encouraged, I'm humbled, I'm pleased to be sitting in this seat, and I'm just amazed by the talent, treasure, and time that our organization, the Alaska Association of Realtors, is able to come up with in order to face the challenges. So I'm encouraged, and I look forward to any input, any direction, and I'm looking for a great legislative session in Juneau, and we have a lot of great things going on, and we're encouraged and excited to see others join us. So saddle up. It's going to be a great ride.
Joni Schneider passed the baton to one great guy. I'd say the Alaska Association of Realtors is in good hands. Let's check in with Fred Braun down in Kenai. Fred Braun, what is going on with the ordinance in the Kenai Peninsula Borough for the anadromous streams? What's the ordinance? Maybe give us a brief rundown on what is the ordinance, what's its effect on property owners, and why is the Alaska Association of Realtors concerned?
Number one, it's not just the local board, it's the state board, your board, and the National Board of Realtors have all sent memorandums against this ordinance, Chris. It basically was adopted June 21st, 2011. It was to have gone into effect January 1st of this year for the east side. Now, the west side Cook Inlet is already in place. Keep in mind it's gone from 603 stream miles up to 2,317 stream miles that are affected. This does not include shoreline or lakefront at all. What it is, it's a 50-foot border that's been established. So if you have a stream and on both sides, naturally, it would be 100-foot. This is such a huge, huge thing, Chris, that for the folks to not have been notified. The affected property owners were never noticed by the borough. Legally, technically, the borough did not have to do anything other than what they do now. They'll print an ad in the local paper, and they'll have it on their website. And by that, I mean that that's the way that they advertise a public comment period, or no different than their regular borough assembly meetings are done the same way. We were successful. This now does not go into effect until the end of August. So again, it was to have taken place January 1st. So now we can breathe a little easier, fight for what we feel is not right, and we are hoping that we can get this ordinance repealed. So again, labeled to 2011-12. That's the name of the ordinance, and we're trying our best to get it repealed. If we're successful, then start all over and notify those folks that are affected, the folks that are owners of the waterfront properties, that they just need to have a say in what the borough has now ordered to be rules and laws.
Well, Fred, just to clarify in my mind, essentially this wasn't any and all streams, but it was those declared to be anadromous, meaning that they have something to do with the reproduction or habitation of salmon, correct?
That's right.
Okay.
And it really could be trout, or it could be grayling, it could be salmon, anything that's reproduced. Now, classification according to Fish and Game, Chris, is if they find two small fingerlings in a stream, in an anadromous stream, it's on the list, and which is referred to as a register or a catalog. That's our second biggest thing that we're going after. This catalog is maintained and overseen by the Alaska Department of Fish and Game. And at any given time, they can add streams or delete streams, which is highly unlikely, without any input from the public or from any property owners. And again, that's a horrible, horrible thing, because any other ordinance that's ever adopted, they can all be amended. But if you really think about this, if this ordinance has been adopted and is in place, every time there's a change or every time there is another stream added to that catalog or the register that's held by Fish and Game, it really, in a sense, changes an existing ordinance without an amendment or any kind of a notification. So, again, that's what we're also hoping to get eliminated out of this ordinance, is do away with the catalog, totally.
And two things, I think 2 points that jump to my mind immediately is, number one, if you ever wonder where the dollars are going that you pay in towards your realtor dues, I guess you've really seen it here in action. As you said, the AAR and NAR have jumped in and are helping out. So that's one thing that comes real clear to my mind. But then secondly to that is, if we don't stop it here, there's the potentiality for scope creep and all of a sudden precedent set, and we're talking about the same types of ordinances as laws moving up the municipality of Anchorage, out into the Mat-Su Borough, up into the North Star Borough, and so forth. Where will it stop?
Well, as a good example of that, there's actually 2 or 3 different assemblymen that feel that this probably should be 100 foot. And here's another, I guess, our biggest heartburn, another one, is that you cannot compare every stream to the Kenai River. What they've done on the river is fine. We're not trying to touch that ordinance that pertains to the Kenai River. But when you can take a stream that you can basically step across, I mean, don't tell me that should be compared with the Kenai River. It's not right.
Right.
And they're kind of using the Kenai as a template for every other stream under it.
Well, Fred, thanks for your efforts on this. And again, I think it just really highlights that you're a great Alaskan and a great realtor, and this is an awesome organization to be a part of, and we really do stand up for private property rights.
Absolutely. And thank you, Chris.
Next on Alaska Real Estate, we begin a 6-part series on health, wealth, and prosperity. You'll hear from health experts and business coaches as we explore together great adventures in living. Brought to you by Alaska USA Title Agency, with offices all over Alaska. Crystal and her team are providing quality, accurate, and friendly service to you and your clients. Find out why so many people are talking about Alaska USA Title Agency. They're online at akusatitle.com. Sandy Aaronman's your executive producer. Until next time, for all of us at Alaska Real Estate, I'm Chris Story, reminding you that real estate really is the very thread with which the fabric of our economy is woven.